Hey, did you know that you can own a quarter-acre parcel of a producing teak plantation? You own the title to the land and you get the growth in the trees on top of that. This is something that you can do as an investor without any qualifications at all. And teak trees are a valuable hardwood that you own typically in Central America. So there's a very low cost of entry to this investment, and that's what attracts a lot of people to it. And I am with Mike Cobb, the CEO of ECI Development. He's also the author of the new book, How to Buy Your Home Overseas and Get It Right the First Time. But Mike, a lot of people are interested in the teak investment because it is so approachable. Tell us about it. Give us a general overview.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on. It's always nice to be with you. We're having some fun here in New Orleans,
Great.
which is terrific. The teak plantation is something that I envisioned back in 1998. So what's that, like 26 years ago, right? And in 1999, we planted our very first 100-acre teak plantation because what we thought about at the time, which has now proven true 25 years later, is that, I was either going to need the money in 25 years and be really glad I did this, or I wasn't going to need the money in 25 years. And I was going to be really glad I did this. You know what? I don't really need the money now, but I'm really glad I did this. And 25 years comes. And I think that's been really the challenge for a lot of people looking at teak. They're just like, 25 years, it's too long. But 25 years comes. 25 years will come. And you can either have planted the trees and be ready to take this huge windfall of return, or you won't be getting a windfall return. So I think that's the challenge, the mental challenge I think maybe an average investor has. But I know you work with superior investors because they're paying attention to what you're writing, they're watching your podcasts, they're reading your newsletter. You have far superior investors than I would say the average investor. So I think this is a great thing for folks to check out.
All right, so you're talking about the investment timeline from the time a teak tree seed is planted until the harvest time. That can feel like quite a while.
Yep.
You have been doing this over 25 years, and that is key when you, as an investor, go offshore or go overseas, to have trust in a stable company that's been around for a long time. That's why really you're one of the few people that I work with who are outside of the United States real estate, like the teak trees.
Thank you. Yeah, we've been around for 31 years. I've been working in the region 31. Our development company is 28 years old. Our plantation is now 26 years old, 25 with the trees, but we bought the land 26 years ago.
Are you 31 years old yourself?
But the bottom line, you're right. And the other thing that we should care about, and you brought this up earlier when we were kind of chatting, is country. What country are you planting trees in that you got to wait 25 years for them to mature and harvest? By the way, Panama, and of all the countries in the region where I feel the most comfortable as an investor, Panama's it, because Panama's got the canal. And I know people say, oh yeah, that's right. It's a vital strategic US interest. It's a vital world interest. The Chinese care about it as much as we do. The Europeans care about it. Anybody who wants commerce to happen cares about that canal being open. And so you've got this country, Panama, that has the canal, stable, economically stable, politically stable. And when you're starting to talk about 25, 50, 75, 100-year timeframes, because you own the land, you get the harvest in 25 years, you replant, and then your children get the next harvest, and your grandchildren get the next harvest. It is truly generational wealth stewardship. Yeah.
Panama is a little bit like investing overseas with training wheels on. They're well-developed for a Central American nation. They even use the United States dollar.
They
so
do.
There's that familiarity.
Absolutely.
As well. But as the investor is thinking about investing in teak plantations, just tell us about the properties of teak wood. Of all wood types, why teak? Tell us about the value there.
Yeah, teak has been grown in plantations, starting with the British back about 400 years ago. And so you've got centuries of plantation growing of teak as a crop, right? And so you've got this incredible longevity of information and things like that. And I know some of the stats off the top of my head. Since 1972, right, so that's 52 years ago, the average price of teak lumber has risen about 5.5% a year over a 52-year period. Talk about track record.
Yeah.
Centuries of growing as a crop, right? 52 years as a lumber commodity. Look, people have been using it to make ships. Its hardness is its most valuable characteristic. It is an extremely hard wood. It's resistant to rot, fungus, So it's used in outdoor furniture, for example, right? Some of the stuff on the Titanic, they pulled up from the bottom of the ocean, chairs made out of teak, right? Teak.
Yeah.
But shipbuilders, fine furniture, outdoor furniture, and they're cutting teak down. This is so important. They are cutting teak down 8 to 10 times faster than anybody in the world is replanting it. So just imagine what that does to supply and demand and prices based on just basic economics, right?
Yeah, that is some scarcity. That is a really good point. Tell us about what you're surely interested in. What do the investor returns look like?
Yeah. So, to own one of these quarter-acre parcels, by the way, you said it before, you own the land, you get title to the land, you own the trees, $6,880. That's your entry.
Gosh.
So for less than $7,000, you own a quarter acre of teak trees that in 25 years, projected returns, we always projections, right? About $94,000, a little over $94,000. So 7,000 turns into $90,000 over 25 years. Harvest, plant the trees again, and in 25 years, your kids or your grandkids will get the next harvest, and so on and so on. It is a powerful generational wealth stewardship tool. In fact, right now at the Christmas season, we have what we call Give the Gift of Teak. Because look, you got kids, you got grandkids, what are you gonna get them, right? I mean, they got everything they want, presumably, right? You buy them a teak parcel, right? Buy that kid, buy that grandkid a teak parcel.
What a cool idea.
Oh my gosh, in 25 years, you might be gone, right? But they're gonna get this big windfall and they're gonna thank grandma or grandpa, right, for thinking of them 25 years into the future.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. And you're so proud about what you do. You regularly offer investor tours so that they
Yes.
can come and see the teak. But maybe, for you, the investor, you're wondering, okay, if you're used to investing in US real estate, you might be making two leaps here. You'd be going from residential real estate to agricultural, and you'd also be investing in a nation outside your home country. And when it comes to those sort of questions, I think any savvy investor asks, okay, what are the risks involved with this investment? Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, sure. Look, you've got political risk, country risk, political risk, which I think, again, of all the countries in the region, Panama, dollar economy, canal, safe, stable. So the political risk is minimal. It's there. It's real. Fire risk is an issue, right? Trees burn. The good thing about teak is that after about year 3, they're up and you keep them trimmed, trim all the low branches off. So fire risk really drops incredibly low after about year 3 or 4. But ultimately, it's about professional management. We have a company called Hale Forestal that we hired 26 years ago, actually, to help us find the land, do the analysis of the land, make sure it was good for teak. And when you hire professionals, you get professional results. I mean, we've stayed with this company for 26 years now. And the guy that we met early on, a little forestry engineer, is now general manager and partner in the business. So we've watched that business grow up alongside ours at the same time. Those relationships, Dolly Parton and Kenny Rogers have a song, "You Can't Make Old Friends." So here we are with Jacobo and some of the people, Luis, that we've worked with for 26 years. And the relationships matter, especially in that part of the world. But professionalism and professional management is the key. And you have that alongside the relationships. Both are important.
Yes. So we're talking about how the property manager is such an important part of your team when you think about your single family homes or your apartment buildings. And Mike here is talking about the importance of professional management, because teak trees need a little management and pruning. And sometimes there are thinnings which can give you some income so that you don't have to wait 25 years.
Correct.
Another way in which you might not have to wait 25 years for the full harvest cycle is, at times you can buy trees that are, say, already 7 years old, so you'd only be waiting 18 years, or that are teens, so you might only be waiting 10 years, or some things about that. Those are some of the options. But Mike, before I ask you if you have any last word, if you want to learn more about this, get some information, learn more about it, and learn how to connect with Mike's team, he is one of our GRE marketplace providers, and he's the owner of that company. You can do that at gremarketplace.com/teak. Any last thing someone should know about teak before they consider investing, Mike?
Yeah, well, two things. You mentioned the tours. So we do run discovery tours. We have one coming up in January, end of January, 2 days. We go out to the plantation, the teenage teak plantation, by the way, which is 8 or 9 more years to harvest. Then we're going to the sawmill, because all of our logs go through a sawmill to convert to lumber, which enhances the return to the investor.
Do the teens sleep in till noon, or can we visit them anytime?
And then they're on their phones all day. If we're going to go visit them, we'll wake them up and get on their phones. But here's the last parting word. I think it's scary for a lot of people. It is scary. You're going overseas, you're outside of residential, you're going to a new industry, you're going to a new country. The reason this works for so many people, over 1,000 now have done this, is it's such a small bite, $7,000. And if that's maybe 1 or 2% of your portfolio, you know what, I hate to say put it on the table and roll the dice, but you'll be happy you did. I'm happy I did. It's a small bite, but that international diversification is so important. And then you put it in something that's absolutely not correlated to the markets.
Right.
It's not correlated to US real estate.
Good point.
I mean, in 2008 to 2012, when real estate was dying in the US, our trees just kept growing. So non-correlated, non-US, right? And non-residential. I think that's the reason you want to take a little tiny piece of your portfolio and put it overseas in something like teak.
We know over the long term that it has grown in value 5.5% a year,
Yep.
but at the same time, it grows in volume in the amount of board feet. So you're getting an increase in both unit value and volume. It's really growing a couple ways at the same time. You've had over 1,000 different individual investors invest in the teak now. Several dozen, maybe even more than 100 of those have been you, the Get Rich Education follower. So again, thanks for joining me, Mike. If you want to learn more, start at gremarketplace.com/teak. I'm Keith Weinhold. I'll see you next time. You can watch this one next.